Okay, hi guys, Brand here. This is usually the first 24 hours after a chapter release is usually the part of my DBD week where I decide to put out a video talking about, oh, here are all the new changes. Here's the new character. Here's the new perks. Here's the new updates to the killers and the reworks and stuff and how they work and how great they are and how I feel about them. That video will still be coming. I'm still making that, but I want to first let you know how egregiously bugged this chapter is right now before you get too deep into playing it. I'm sure if you played day one, you realize that fairly quickly because there's a lot going on. But if you have not played yet, I want to get this video out to you sooner rather than later, so you can choose to avoid Dead by Daylight for now if you wish to, if these bugs are too much, or at least be aware that these things are happening going in. So let's not waste any time and talk about it. Gens are just messed up. It is too early to tell what exactly is wrong, but gens are incredibly messed up in a way that's frankly terrifying. So gens have a multitude of issues that I've had sent to me as clips and or experienced myself on stream. Sometimes all it takes is getting down to 2 gens, and when you complete the second to last gen, both gens pop and the endgame collapse starts. That's really strong and really scary. That shouldn't be a thing. Oh no. Sometimes a gen pops and does not appear over on the counter over on the left. Like I watched a gen pop in a match on Gas Heaven, but the counter stayed at 4 when it was actually supposed to be at 3 after that gen popped. It just stayed at 4, and I knew it popped for sure, even though I looked dead at it and saw it pop. Even if I was going to say, maybe I imagined that, my Q stacks went up because I was using Q at the time. So yeah, the gen did pop, and it did not count on the counter for some reason. I have seen people get down to 1 gen, and for some reason, an extra gen has spawned. They have been at 1 gen, and there has been a 4 gen instead of a 3 gen. Sometimes hatch has spawned twice. Had that happen. That's pretty interesting. Not to me personally, that was sent to me. Just making that clear. Yeah, for some reason, the way gens are calculated, how the end game's calculated, very minor bug that doesn't actually matter. When somebody skips their hatch, it begins the end game collapse. I don't know why that's a thing. It's very odd, very weird. But thankfully that doesn't affect gameplay, like literally everything else that I mentioned in a very severe way. Yeah, gens are horribly messed up right now. And honestly, I don't know how this hit live. None of these issues were present in the player test beta. And sorry, public test build. Sorry, you can't call it a player test beta because it's not the exact thing that DBD calls it, even though other games call it that. So we must refer to it by its official name, or else I will hear about it. But point being, that is a pretty severe issue that I'm sure if you played 2 or 3 games in your own time just to test these the build before it went live, you would probably catch that if you were playtesting it, which leads me to believe they did not do a great deal of that before this went live, because these are not the only bugs. Speaking of the characters that I should be talking about right now instead of making this video, Knight is very bugged. Knight's quality of life changes are mostly nice and mostly great, but the Knight, the actual guard that you pick, is bugged right now. The little hovery thing that shows up on his arm that shows you which guy is about to go out, that's bugged. It doesn't always match the guy he's going to send out. So it's very, very confusing. Apparently survivors can't see that at all, so they can't react to you and what guard you're going to put out. So that's pretty cool. Larry still has the audio bug with his biopods that sometimes you just get the auto bug audio the whole time. It's not as bad as it was in the player test beta or the public test beta, but yeah, it's not as bad as it was in the PTB, but it's still very obnoxious and annoying, despite his changes being really nice and actually potentially becoming somebody who I would consider a tertiary. I actually really like the singularity changes, but let's not spoil that video. Don't spoil that video. Oh, there's a very, very, very awful bug for you guys that play Survivor, is for some reason when you're bringing Dead Hard, it cancels your endurance entirely. That includes your base kit endurance to get off hook. Why that happens, where in the spaghetti code that happened, I don't know why, but apparently that turns off every other form of endurance you can get. Why that happens, I'm not sure, but be careful about being hit off hook if you're running Dead Hard, because apparently you just don't get base kit BT when that's a thing. That's pretty strong on the other end of things. That's pretty strong for the killer. That makes tunneling even stronger. And for those of you that played before base kit BT was a thing, you remember how good that was. If somebody brings Dead Hard, you now have that effectively. So yeah, that's neat. Also, apparently flashlights are bugged right now too. I heard somebody talk about this to me in a match that I faced, that apparently they're just shooting straight down now. That's cool. That's pretty neat. There's just a lot wrong with this chapter. I've heard more stuff that I've not been able to substantiate myself, like the execute animations not playing. The one I currently see that also does not have any sort of bearing on gameplay is that for some reason, whenever a match queue completes, like you ready up and the match prepares to go into the loading screen, your character in the lobby just like scoots over to the left for some reason. This actually crashed my game once. I said this had no impact on gameplay, but this crashed my game once today when this happened. So maybe it does have an impact. But yeah, TLDR, this patch is incredibly buggy, and especially on the killer side of things, the gens and the way they're calculated is completely bugged to where sometimes survivors are quite literally having to do less gens or have more gens available to do to avoid a 3-gen. So until they fix that, you may want to avoid this if you're like a hardcore killer main and survivors have any sort of advantage upsets you, because that is a pretty substantial buff that shouldn't be there because of a bug. Like, being down to 2 gens and just being able to not have to do the other one is pretty good. Also being able to get out of 3 gens by just having an extra gen sometimes. Yeah, there's a lot going on that makes killer extremely frustrating right now. And obviously, the survivor, be aware of the BT thing. That's probably the big thing. Be aware that you may be tunneled off if you bring dead hard, or I would just avoid bringing dead hard right now. Yeah, these are just things I wanted to let you know about. I'm going to release this video as soon as possible, as soon as I get it edited and done, so you guys know about this as soon as possible, so you can choose to not play the game or play the game if you wish, or at least be aware of these things out there while playing. So yeah, have you guys run into any of this stuff while you've been playing so far? And are you going to continue to play Dead by Daylight with these bugs happening? Let me know down in the comments below, and that's going to be it for today's video, friends. Thank you so very much for watching, and like I said, I'm going to be making a video about night and singularity like I planned to. Yeah, so I'll see you guys tomorrow, but if I do not, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.